What's good, Ken Gonda? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Back here on the Ken Gonda YouTube channel. And guys, we have a really great show. I have one of my YouTube buddies here from another community that we're in. And basically, we're having a really controversial show about pretty much why some African American men are relocating to other parts of the world and not coming back to some of the African countries. And I'll let Dr. Mike TV explain who he is and what his channel is about.
All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name is Dr. Mike TV. I am a young expat that navigated and moved to the Philippines when he was very young to study abroad. I'm a military kid. On and off for about the last 15 years of my life, I've been traveling to the country, spent a lot of time there getting an education, got my doctorate degree. And, now I spend a lot of time on my channel discussing, life experiences in the Philippines and tips for guys looking to travel to the country as well.
All right, so Kim, give him a round of applause. And I'm glad to have the brother here today, because so many times I bring a lot of people here, like, Dinah Samir, Bomani Taihemba. We have brother Chief Fode from Sierra Leone. We have so many brothers that have repatriated to Africa or are doing some things in Africa. But rarely do we have a brother who has chosen another place, right? And we also want to know, for those of us in the Pan-African community, why are some of these people, especially a brother like this with a doctorate degree, why was Africa not on his radar? So I want to talk about that, Dr. Mike. I know you've been talking a lot about the Philippines. This channel is more about bridging the African American community and the Black diaspora to the continent of Africa. I've been there 16 times. But why are some of our talented and skilled people such as yourself, how did you end up in the Philippines in the first place?
Okay. I'm gonna take it back a little bit further. My first ever experience overseas was living in Japan. I was 10 years old. I stayed for about a couple years. I moved back home. I had an opportunity to study abroad after high school, so I ended up moving to the Philippines for 10 years. So that's kind of how I ended up in the Philippines. And as I got a chance to really grow and immerse myself in the culture, I kind of felt as though that was definitely a place for me, a place that I could really, grow and become who I am as an individual. The people, very friendly, humbled people. The young ladies over there, I think that a lot of brothers do find, and again, maybe I'm just speaking for myself and not everybody, but I do believe they find Asian women to be attractive in some capacity. It's extremely affordable to live in a country like the Philippines, so I know that my money's going to go a longer way over there. Again, my experiences in Africa are limited or slim to none. So as far as how my money range works in Africa as opposed to the Philippines, being a third world country, it kind of feels as though I know where my money is going to go, as opposed to, having that question mark until I actually get a chance to visit visit a place like Africa. So for me, I've learned that my time, effort, and energy would probably be best spent in the Philippines, because it's a place that I am familiar with, because I did get a chance to spend a lot of my youth there, at least a third of my life.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times people feel like, well, a lot of these people, are repatriating. It's not just you. You have some black men that are like Brother Randy Flack. He's in China.
Yes,
I see African Americans, and there's a channel about being black in Japan. So a lot of blacks in Japan, like yourself, that was there. And then when you're like, well, they don't want to visit Africa, but then when you started to say, like, there's just a lot of question marks about what it is at the time that you were doing it. Now there tends to be a lot more information as people are going on YouTube. But at the time that you were going to Japan and in the Philippines, there was just not a lot of information about, in Africa's a continent, but if we want to say Ghana, West Africa, where we come from, probably as our ancestors, there wasn't that much. There wasn't that much information about those places, right?
Yes, sir. Even when I went to the Philippines, the first time I went was in 2005. There was very little information about the Philippines, if any at all, that could be found online. Same things can be said about the continent of Africa, specifically the areas that you mentioned. And because of this lack of information, I was lucky to be able to go with somebody I knew. right? So I had my my father and my older brother that could help me navigate my way around the country, so I was not
Mhm.
alone.
Mhm.
Going to a place, and likely if Africa was the place that I went to first, maybe the same rules would have applied. But because of that lack of information and not knowing,
Mhm.
I mean, even then you
Mhm.
have people talking about, bro, if you go to the Philippines, man, you gonna get kidnapped, they're gonna chop your head off with machetes, they're gonna kidnap you. You hear these things. And these are people who are just going off of things that they may have heard.
Mhm.
And I still believe that the same rules apply to an extent. But for the most part, because there are a lot of people, echoing some of the same sentiments in reference to it's not as bad as people think, it's starting to open people up to the idea of traveling, especially to a place like the Philippines, wherein, oh, it's under a dictatorship and they're not going to be able to have the freedoms that you have in the United States, and you're going to lack
Mhm.
this and you're going to lose out on that.
Mhm.
Now that you have brothers who say, that's not the case, now you start to get people more open to the idea of traveling to the Philippines.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
big bro, I did get my yellow fever shot. I had a plan to. It didn't work out the way that I hoped that it would for me to actually get to go visit. I believe I was going to end up heading over to Togo, to the Togo area, the Benin area where my dad was working.
Okay.
So I was gonna have a chance to check out Africa, yes sir. Um, but I never got the opportunity to do it. It just
Okay.
never came to be.
Okay. Let me say this because I don't want to like to be so critical of the continent or the African Union, which I can be sometimes, right? But for some of us who are
Mhm,
young and who have, accumulated some sort of technical skills or skills that we can build to society, um,
mhm,
what you find out is that uh, at least for me, the question is like, if you want to go to many countries in Africa, there are many, right? And at least you had
yes sir.
somebody that was taking you there. And
Mhm,
but then, do you ever feel like, well, if I go and visit, what are the opportunities to do things there? Like I know that was the same for the Philippines, but when you think about choosing a place in Africa to go, do you
mhm.
somehow find some confusion because there's not a lot of transparency about what are the opportunities for somebody that's a young, or what are the things to do there? Do you ever feel like that, or it was just you know?
You know what? You're absolutely. You know what? You hit the nail on the head. The lack of information that was out there about specific areas on the continent, it did make somebody like me apprehensive. Being a brother, I have a very particular skill set. Having a marketing background and things like that, but not knowing if I wanted to move there, if there would be an opportunity for me to have a job, maybe even a job online, what area works best for me. Has anybody ever really had a career or made some or flourished that was in my particular career field there? Who could I reach out to? Who could I link with? Who could help me build something while I'm there. Because of these,
Mhm.
lack of information, it
Mhm.
does make somebody such as myself apprehensive about traveling, to the continent. Because when you go to the continent, like whenever you travel anywhere, you got to figure out your expenses, how much you're gonna
Right.
have to pay for certain things. And
Right.
you don't necessarily have, and there probably are a whole lot more now than they were before, but you don't necessarily have that direct information about,
Hmm.
okay, how much is my living expenses here in this
Okay.
particular area? What can
Hmm.
I do in this area that follows along my career field or my skill set? What is
Right.
available for me so that I can flourish? Because you just don't want to live. You want to definitely make sure you maximize your time in any country that you're in. Again,
Hmm.
I can say that I felt that in the Philippines because I knew it, but in Africa, haven't not gone there yet, but wanted to be granted the opportunity. What is there for me to do? How can I flourish here? How can I make this country my own, something that I can really flourish and be
Hmm.
able to tell other people about and bring them along with me? Like, yo, have you heard about this? This is really popping off. This is a popular location. There's a lot of things that can get done. And when you don't have that, it's kind of like
Hmm.
somebody like me may not be willing to just jump in feet first without having that necessary information. So you can definitely, chalk that up to lack of information about what's available for young black men, looking
Hmm.
to travel and navigate to the country.
Right. And I want to, to say, I'm glad you're talking about it in such a intellectual way, because so many times when you see African Americans that choose Japan.
Hmm.
And Japan is the most skilled labor force on planet Earth.
Oh
Then
yes,
second
sir.
is Germany.
They ain't
Then
playing.
you even think about a place like the Philippines, but the Philippines has at least more infrastructure than I would say than most countries on the continent.
Hmm.
And then they think like, okay, well you men, or even some of the women, you're picking this place because especially the men, you're picking it because you're a colorist, you want to have a mixed child, or you like that. But I'm glad that
Good
you're really
point.
pointing. It's true. And there are some women and men that like Asian women, but it's not like the continent of Africa. I mean, because continent of Africa has some of the most beautiful women that's you could ever see, the most
Yes, sir.
diverse. I mean, light skin, Rwandese. I mean, whatever you want, that's just there. But the thing
Hmm.
about it is that if as a man that's supposed to be a provider or a builder, because when you come there from America, people are going to expect you to be doing things in the society that makes sense. And if we don't know
Yes,
other
sir.
people that have done that before, if we don't have any kind of insight to how that happens, then what we're going to say, well, why am I going to go here? I can go to Germany, or I can go to Japan, or I can go to the Philippines. My dad was in the military in the Philippines. And I think that's
Hmm.
the problem, that a lot of times you see, for example, Sierra Leone, they're offering citizenship from African Americans or anybody that has DNA to get citizenship and come back to Sierra Leone. But
Uh-huh.
still, even though that's great and that's an awesome thing, that's better than what anybody's doing in Africa. But still,
Yes,
where
sir.
is the bridge that connects you into everyday life, you
Hmm.
into the economy? What is available? How do you earn? How do you live? And that
Hmm.
information is like, well, okay, from there, you got to figure it out for yourself. Um,
Okay.
how do you, I mean, how do you feel about, these other countries that are third world, maybe on the same level Philippines? What are
Hmm.
drawing these other expats to there that people can flourish in the Philippines, that what makes some of these expats flourish there
I'm
versus
gonna
other
tell
places?
you know what's funny? You say something crazy, but let me put this out there for you, and maybe this can provide some context. If I typed in right now in a YouTube search, what kind of jobs can foreigners have in the Philippines? Probably 100 videos show up. If I type in what kind of jobs can foreigners have in Sierra Leone, I'm not going to sit there and believe. And again, maybe this is not me doing a search, but I kind of feel like it could definitely lead to far less searches. And then you have to start being specific, right? Okay, so it's not necessarily what kind of jobs can foreigners have, but what kind of jobs can foreigners have that fit this particular skill set? And again, it comes with that lack of information. I think it's a blessing that I could go to Sierra Leone, and if I could prove that I do have that DNA in me, that I could become a citizen of the country, I would love to go there specifically for that reason, just to be able to experience the culture and experience the continent and immerse myself in what, where our people came from. I want that. But can I, like you said, can I build there? You can't just come in there just to come there. You gotta, and can't just come there just to live there. People, like you said, they have an expectation from us as foreigners. Like they have an expectation as Black American men coming from the United States. You can't to live there to at least be able to bridge information, or I can't be there to at least show that I'm able to be what I would like to consider to be a productive citizen of whatever country I'm in. If I can't prove that, it's kind of like, yeah, it might be good for a vacation here and there, but can I really make something out of myself here? Like, what can I really make myself into the person I need to be here? And so when you have those questions, it does lead to, some conflict and, is this really going to work out for me? At least in a place like the Philippines, like you can type
Hmm.
in the information and you can find the right people to connect with. Having that lack of network to an
Hmm.
extent could hurt you more than it could help you. So the networking is definitely going
Hmm.
to, it's going to have to work. You ain't going to just go on a whim thinking it's going to all work out and then it doesn't.
There's a YouTuber that I watch here. She is Americo Liberian, and her name is She Speaks.
Okay.
I forgot what her channel is, but
Okay.
She basically is a nurse. American Liberian, if you know that it's an African American. It's Liberians that have African American descent or Caribbean, typically African
Mm-hmm.
American descent, that came over there. They sent the African Americans back to Africa, and then they ruled, and then they became the elite. And so then those
Mm-hmm.
descendants of those children consider themselves American Liberian, which is like kind of a mixture between indigenous now and African American kind of heritage. Probably in the
Mm-hmm.
last 40 years, they even have more of a cultural ties together. But she was a nurse, and her husband is doing pretty good. But she said she was promised a job when she came back to Liberia to live, and none of the jobs worked out. And this is somebody that is Liberian, right? This is somebody who was
Mm-hmm.
born there, and she was doing really
Wow.
good as a registered nurse in Texas, making I think she was saying three to
Crazy
five
money.
hours a day, which is
Mm-hmm.
still good. And then you come back to
Right.
the country that you want to live, and there's no opportunity. So this is happening for a person that is connected into Liberian society, that understands how things work. Now you take somebody
Mm-hmm.
like me and you, we're African Americans. We don't know
Right.
how shit works, right? We have no connections to nobody. We don't really trust people there, right? I mean, because we don't know them, they don't
Nah.
know us.
Right.
So if that's happening to people that they are from there and that's happening, imagine somebody like we're more vulnerable. And let me tell you this. I don't know if you have any friends that are probably so because you live in the Philippines. I know there's some Nigerians that are in the Philippines,
Yes, sir.
but I have some Nigerian American friends and some Nigerian British friends, and they were
Mm-hmm.
to be the ones to tell me like I was like, "Yo, man, I want to because I wanted to move my project to Nigeria." They're like, "No, don't do that." Like, it's surprisingly like that you hear Africans that you come across that will tell you
Right.
like, "Yeah, bro, like you don't want to live there. You don't want to live there." Have you ever had that kind of interest? Like, you talking to somebody from the continent, you ask them about their country, and you talking about you want to visit or live there, and they tell you not to do it.
Yes, sir. Oh man, it's happened on two different occasions. Right, I was explaining to him, yo, man, I'm getting my yellow fever shot because I have a plan to really travel to Africa sometime this year. So they did ask me about the locations I wanted to go. I named a couple, and when I came across Nigeria, and I asked them about how they felt about it, they was like, I don't see this really working out for you, or I don't really see you being able to really do anything there. I mean, it's cool if you want a vacation there, but even them. And I kind of guess I actually, when I think about it out loud, let me just say this: the brothers that I met from Nigeria, they were there in the Philippines for school. I chose the Philippines for my education. I had an opportunity to study abroad. This is what I chose. So I'm assuming they made the exact same choice. But then I asked them also about the education system there, and I was like, the same questions people have for me. Oh, why didn't you just study in the United States? Oh, there's so great schools there, blah blah blah. You have that same conversation. I asked them the same question about, why didn't you guys just study there? And they were like, well, they wanted the same opportunity as me, but I was like, how about the opportunities there for somebody like me? I don't know nobody. Like, what do you think works best for somebody like me if I wanted to go over there? They were like, I just wouldn't recommend it. And that's kind of where they left it. And I was like, but why wouldn't you recommend it? Like, why aren't you going into detail about it? I guess they felt as though that it wasn't a place that somebody like me could flourish. And I can honestly say, when people have those conversations with you, that is a deterrent. Like, I mean, that's something that is like, damn, man, they don't even want to give anybody an opportunity over there. Like, and then you tell the story about the young lady who's a nurse. I mean, come on now, nursing is applicable anywhere in the world. I mean, my young lady, she's a nurse. And if she passes the NCLEX, she could be a nurse in the United States, right? So she could be a nurse anywhere in the world. But from a young lady who is Liberian, for her to be able to go back there but not be able to have a job opportunity, it kind of makes you feel like, damn, what opportunities exist for me? I mean, nursing is a field that across the board you can pretty much practice that anywhere, but now you're talking about somebody, like I said, with a particular skill set. Am I going to run into the same problems? Am I going to
Mhm.
have the same issues? Is this going to work out for me? And then I got people in my ear saying, maybe that's, you should look at other places. It does
Mhm.
make you feel like, damn. Why, you
Right.
keep saying it. It's like, okay. And by the way, a lot of brothers from Nigeria get a lot of basketball scholarships in the Philippines too. So that's kind of what brings them, to the
Okay.
country.
Hmm.
Right. So I'm not sure if there is a reason why they're not studying in their own home country. Never really
Hmm.
died. They never really got into it, but it does make you think. Like, is there an issue there? Like, do they
Hmm.
feel like they're gonna have a better opportunity? And I
Hmm.
want you to listen to me when I say this. Do you believe that you're gonna get a better opportunity going from probably what is a third world to another third world country? And it's
Hmm.
kind of like it makes you think, like, okay, what am I missing here? And
Hmm.
because of that lack of information, like we said before, it's kind of like
Hmm.
maybe I should fall back on that one for a little bit.
And I think also, and I do understand the calls for a lot of people in the diaspora, especially first if you're like
Mhm,
Liberian or Ugandan, Nigerian, you call out to your people first to please, come back and do things. And then you
mhm,
call out to some of the other people, the African American community, the Caribbean community, and things like that. And it's
mhm,
like when you go to, something like a professional school, a doctor program, you spend all that time studying, all that investment to yourself. It's like,
mhm.
okay, well, if it's not guaranteed, like I can't, you know, waste my energy that I've put into my education to possibly relocate and not get paid, and that's the one thing.
Exactly.
There is no real bridge. And I talk about that with a lot of countries on the continent. There's no real bridge to bring, okay, our people who have a certain skill set that can help the educational system, that can help elevate the healthcare system.
Hmm.
Okay, here's some of the money that we're going to allocate to help our people come in and improve it and invest in them to come here so we can bridge the gap. We can give them free
Hmm.
housing. We can give them anything to get them into the system to help build Africa. And
Right.
you just don't see that. And
Right.
and you don't really see a lot of the um just anything like, let's say if you have the investment authorities in these countries. Now
Hmm.
I understand that you went to the Philippines and there was a lot of information about the Philippines online. But let's say if
Right.
you're a country, you know, that's like, Liberia or Sierra Leone,
Hmm.
you kind of feel like the opportunities that are there, and every country does have some sort of opportunity, but you just don't
Right.
see that they're putting in the effort to try to bridge the gap so that they can
Exactly.
get the skills to come back, or they can at least, what is the initiative, or the steps that some of these countries are taking to bridge it for their own people, and then for people
Hmm.
abroad to come in and do things that will want to make them pick, to relocate home. It's just like, okay, you can come back and then you figure it out. And, you need to not only be a PhD person, but you need to also now be an entrepreneur and start your own educational school system with your money. And if you fail, it's on you.
Right.
Whereas I can go to the States, I can go to Hong Kong,
Right.
China, you know,
Hmm.
and then I could just, live my life there and kind of work my way up in the economy that I know that has market for what I do, versus
Hmm.
like, all right, so I'm just going to just roll the dice and just see if it works out. And then a lot of times people go back, you see it all the time. People try to move to the continent and it's hard. It's a lot of opportunities, but everything you get in Africa, you have to build it for yourself. Every little
Hmm.
thing. Yeah.
Hmm.
You want to weigh in on that, or?
Yeah, one thing that you said that was interesting is you just don't hear a lot of information about them, trying to get us over there. And being a marketing major, you'll come across all types of things online about the reasons why you should, right? The reasons why you should visit here, or the reasons why you should live here. Unfortunately, you may see it, but the information that may be in it may be lacking. You may see somebody put out a promotional video about the reasons why you should come to Sierra Leone. But if you, like you said, if when okay, what are we going to do when we get there? What is available for me when I get there? What can I do immediately? Like when I get my boots on the ground and I want to run and I'm trying to get things started and I'm trying to show my social proof or like my resources and, try to build, what can I do immediately? Like you said, it's only going to be something that you're going to be able to do if you can do it yourself. Probably there's no relocation fees for a relocation, like you said, allocation of money for resources to help you get started so you can get your boots on the ground and get started. To build something, you feel like there's nobody there to help you. Like you said, if you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it on your own. And it's not as if every person who does it is going to fail. Like I said, big bro, you do your thing, but you can't expect that everybody's going to be able to touch down, make the exact same moves with the lack of resources from the country. You can't expect them to build quickly. And I kind of feel like thinking about the expectation of what they may expect from us if we're going to, relocate, and you can't make that move and you don't feel confident enough in yourself to feel like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this without nothing. Give me another reason why I should, right? If I can't do that, can you give me another reason why I should?
Right.
And if there's no reason, you kind of feel like, well, you know what? I feel like I know I can make it work better for myself here rather than
Okay.
there, and that kind of makes you lose a potential interest. Maybe I'll
Okay.
come visit, but it hits different.
But let me ask you this: do you think that if, and I'm doing this as a person, you love the Philippines, and you were kind of
Yes,
on
sir.
the fence. Do you think that if you start seeing some transparency for some of the countries, I know like Ghana did the year return, and you starting to see some of the countries getting a little bit better about trying to win the diaspora back. Do you think that if you start to see countries trying to develop stuff just to even get their own people to come back from because a lot of people from like Ghana are in the States, a lot of people
Hmm.
from Nigeria are in the States, a lot of people from a lot of African Americans are in the States. Do you think that
Hmm.
if the African countries start to really try to make situations to bring talented people back, a real effort, that many people will see that effort and will take that as an opportunity to want to come and try to do things? You think if you think that the response, if done right, would would work?
Most definitely. I've learned that it's not just me and other people who have a fascination with going back to what most people would consider the motherland. I've always wanted to visit Africa, man. That's always been at the top of my list. I fell in love with the Philippines. I can honestly say that the Philippines is a place that I will call my second home. But I can honestly be open and transparent when I tell you I've lived my best life over there. And it's definitely to the point in my life where I'm open to something new. And if those opportunities existed, especially in a place that I've always wanted to go to, and I know that I'm not going to be out there on an island by myself when I touch down, that networking, that communication, you can show me that we can really build something together and we can network and we can prosper together. It would definitely make that a lot more enticing to people, whether you're living in the United States or other countries. It'll definitely open up the doors and definitely pique the interest of the individual, knowing that when I go there, I got qualified and necessary people to work with. I know that I'm not going to be out here doing this on my own. I know that given the opportunity, there are going to be people that are going to be able to benefit and work with me, and I can work with them, and we can feed off of each other. That way, we can build what it is that we need to build to bring, Africa back to, I mean, a place where people want to come. Right now, they're putting it on their list, but now it's a place that it becomes like, look, this is priority for me. I see it working out for everybody else, and it starts to bring, the people back into the fold for sure.
All right, and I think that's a great way to sum it up. Well, Dr. Mike, I won't hold you too long. Tell people why they should subscribe to the Dr. Mike TV YouTube channel and what you talk about over there.
All right. All right, big bro. Appreciate you coming through, allowing me to, come through and have a conversation with you on your channel. Guys, I'm just a young brother who had an opportunity to study abroad and live overseas, and sharing an experience that most of us wish that we could. And even if you didn't get a chance to travel when you were young and you're thinking about traveling, especially to a place like the Philippines, the Dr. Mike TV channel is definitely the channel you should check out. I give out, tips and, tidbits of information, and I try to educate and entertain you guys on the things that I've learned throughout my 15 plus years experience living in the country. If you are interested in checking me out, you can find me on the Dr. Mike TV channel. Big bro, I appreciate your time, man. You guys take care and you guys stay blessed.
So, guys, I want to thank you for coming on. His information will be pinned to the first company at the top, Dr. Mike TV. And as you know, keep it real, King Giner forever. We out.